Darla Jackson burst into sobs as the judge hands down her sentence.
Yes, you are.
Let me go. I got kids and responsibilities.
Come on.
Y'all, let me go. Let me.
Is this real life right now? I would also be freaking out if I was handed down a life sentence. I mean, I can't handle prison food. And also pooping in front of people? I don't know, man. That would stress me out. I guess I can get used to it. What am I talking about? I'm not going to prison, guys. And I suppose if you're willing to do the crime, you should be willing to do the time and be able to poop in front of people. That's today's lesson. Well, that was hella awkward of an intro for this video. You're welcome. Well, how's it going, you guys? I'm your host for this one, Landon Do Not Sing, and welcome back to another Most Amazing Top 10 video. If you guys aren't already subscribed, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 6 million subscribers. Also hit the little bell thing, the notification thingy, because whenever we make videos, you guys will be notified right away, and you guys can become a part of the Most Amazing family. And in the comment section below, let us know how long have you guys been subscribed to us. I'm curious. Alright. Due to popular demand, we're making this video. So it's time to get ready for this one. It's gonna get crazy. You guys won't believe these situations that took place, and you will have to stay to number one because it's insane. It's gonna make you guys say, is this real life right now? So this right here is the top 10 scary convicts who freaked out after given a life sentence. First up, number 10, we have a woman who didn't mean to do it.
I didn't plan to murder him. I didn't plan on going into the prison and then having him die. I made a mistake.
You don't have to have intent to kill in order to be guilty of this crime.
So that was 34-year-old Melissa Gillette, who had the outburst in court trying to plead her case. She was pleading that she murdered the man she loves, Jason Nyberg, by accident, and she shouldn't be punished. I'd for sure sentence her to prison for a very long time, so she doesn't accidentally murder other people.
I feel guilty for what happened to him. He was my best friend.
She didn't mean to do it. This much was clear inside Judge Tom Neville's Rice County courtroom.
I screwed up. I relapsed. I was clean for 10 years.
Gillette smuggled in meth to Nyberg in a capsule inside of the Minnesota Correctional Facility, so she was already in prison. Nyberg took the pill and died 3 hours later in his cell from an overdose. In court, Gillette said, and I quote, "I didn't plan to murder him. I didn't plan on going into prison then having him die. I made a mistake," and the judge replied with, "You don't have to have the intent to kill in order to be guilty of this crime." Moving on, number 9, we have a young couple who was sentenced together. And I guess they freaked out together.
It is life without parole. It requires a DNA sample to be taken upon arrest, which is often like a cotton swab or in the inside of your cheek.
You just watched 27-year-old Seth Welch and Tatiana Tersari. They're a Michigan couple who was just charged in the death of their daughter. They were charged with homicide, felony murder, in which they got life without parole.
The second offense that you're both charged with is called child abuse in the first degree, where they're alleging you knowingly or intentionally caused serious physical harm to a child. They're talking about this Mary Welch.
Mary Welch, their daughter, was just 10 months old, and she died from malnutrition and dehydration due to neglect. This was ruled by a medical examiner. She weighed just 8 pounds at the time of her death. After the daughter passed away, the parents waited 90 minutes before reporting it to the police. I mean, why are you waiting an hour and a half?
Possible penalty of up to life imprisonment or any term of years less than life. Now those are the two separate felony charges.
Number 8.
How can you even sit there and say the evidence? What evidence? None of the evidence you're saying.
That was 6-year-old Regina Johnson, and she was freaking out during her long trial for murdering her daughter and husband. Johnson shot her 14-year-old daughter and husband in the condo, and for some reason she stayed with the bodies for 3 days before reporting their deaths. After the court hearing, she was sentenced to 80 years to life in state prison. She was convicted of second-degree murder.
Ruben and shooting him. Ruben was standing up when I shot him. I shot him because he shot my daughter.
You can see at the end of the clip that Johnson's lawyers were trying to have her not talk anymore because she was admitting to the murder. But what she said was very interesting. She was charged for 2 murders, but did her husband actually commit 1 murder and Johnson killed him because of it? I'm not sure if we're ever gonna know the truth, but murdering someone for killing someone else isn't really the answer. But it's just so sad knowing if that was the situation. Moving into number 7, let's talk about the University of Southern California shooter, Brandon Spencer. He was 21 years old when he opened fire on a rival gang member on the USC campus. During the shooting, 4 others were injured. During the trial, he was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison, and he just lost control. He started to bang his head on the table. I still think it's crazy that so many people have guns in America, especially after all of these school shootings. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's the boring question now. Should guns be banned? I know it's hard to collect millions of guns, but I think the law needs to be passed, or at least something. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Moving into number 6, we have Dustin Armstrong, who broke down into tears after he was sentenced to 50 years in prison.
Dustin Armstrong's chance to say something about what he'd done.
Do you have anything you wish to say to me prior to my announcing what I'm going to do here today, sir?
No, Your Honor. So that was Armstrong's chance to apologize for what he has done. Armstrong is from Iowa, and he is just 20 years old when he brutally beat a toddler. I'm pretty sure it was his own kid. Armstrong's admitted to grabbing the toddler's jaw and slammed him against the wall.
Last April, police found 2-year-old Braden Young unconscious in his Ottumwa home with a broken jaw and extensive brain damage. Armstrong admitted in Monday's hearing that he grabbed Braden's jaw and slammed his head against a wall. Doctors told Braden's mother they thought he was going to die. Braden has made a remarkable recovery, but his mother says he will likely face challenges from the beating for his entire life.
I don't feel bad for Armstrong one bit, and I think 50 years in prison, it may not be enough time for what he did. Alright, number 5, we have Darla Jackson, who had road rage that caused an accident that killed U.S. Navy Chief Petty Officer. Apparently Jackson hit the officer so hard that the family couldn't identify him. Is this real life right now?
I'm going to commit you to the Department of Corrections, Ms. Jackson, for the middle term of 6 years for the reasons I've stated.
Okay, wait. Did this woman only get 6 years in prison?
For the middle term of 6 years for the reasons I've stated.
I'm so confused right now. How did she not get life in prison?
Prosecutors argued Jackson ran over Bube in a fit of road rage on a South Bay freeway in May of 2015. Deputy District Attorney Laura Evans said Jackson drove 93+ miles an hour that day, chasing Bube across 4 lanes of highway. When she ran into Bube, she was barely 5 feet behind him, going 80 miles an hour.
Number 4.
I'm withdrawing my plea of guilty to not guilty, and I'm withdrawing my plea to appeal. I'm withdrawing my plea to appeal.
Well, that was Marcel Brooks, who was babysitting a 2-year-old when he shook him, causing him broken bones and a spine, and also left him with brain injury. After Brooks started ranting and yelling in court, the judge started to freak out, and he lashed out at Brooks. The stories that judges have to listen to, it must be absolutely insane. I'm not sure how I would sleep at night listening to all these murder situations and people like Brooks who cause harm to a baby.
And if you refuse to sign it, I'll sign it on your behalf because you abused a child years ago. You admitted to me you abused this child.
The repeated outbursts are the final act of a case that began in October in the town of Tonawanda when Brooks was babysitting the 22-month-old and violently shook him in a moment of frustration.
During one part of the trial, Brooks had the audacity to smile at the family.
He coyly smirked to Justice William Bowler, even smiled to members of his family. At one point, he tried to withdraw the guilty plea of first-degree assault.
Something is messed up with that guy. Number 3.
I'm so sorry to all that family, but nothing can take away from that. I understand that. I gotta wake up every day with that. So just ask.
So that was 22-year-old John Freeman, who burst out crying during his sentencing. He was trying to apologize to the family, saying sorry for killing 5-year-old Isabella Tennant. Freeman received 22 years to life in prison. Poor little girl was just a week away from starting kindergarten. Her body was found in a bag in an alleyway near Niagara Falls. Okay, Niagara Falls is in Canada. I think we should skip the 22 years part and just give this guy life in prison. Freeman was just 17 years old when the crime was committed. Freeman choked the little girl to death while babysitting at their grandparents' place. Freeman did confess to the police what he did, and he said what happened in detail very calmly, very concerned. So why was this kid freaking out now that he's being sentenced to life?
In court, Freeman said he was remorseful. Through the tears, he told Bella's family he's sorry for what happened.
I'm so sorry to all that family, but nothing can take away from that.
I think it was coerced into the apologies, and those tears are absolutely fake. Number 2.
$25 plus a $50 DNA data bank fee, all to be paid out of prison funds. You have 30 days within which to file a notice of appeal.
This woman broke down in tears after she was sentenced in court. She was in court for a murder in Buffalo. She killed an elderly man.
Be sentenced to a determinate sentence of 21 years plus post-release supervision of 5 years. The mandatory surcharge of $300 is hereby imposed.
This woman couldn't even look the judge in his face. As soon as she heard her sentencing, she just broke down. After the sentencing, the police officer had to escort her out, and she just let it loose.
33-year-old April Stone, as you just saw and heard sobbing, was sentenced to 21 years to life in prison for first-degree manslaughter. She pleaded guilty to killing 72-year-old Lincoln Burks during a robbery at his Cornwall Avenue apartment back in January.
And finally, number 1, you guys won't believe this next one.
We, the jury, do we...
These were the final minutes of Michael Marin's story and life.
Do find the defendant, Michael James Marin, guilty of arson of an occupied structure.
How he got here is a tragic and bizarre tale.
This situation is really insane. On trial was Michael Marin, a 53-year-old millionaire who made most of his money on Wall Street. Marin had a friend and business partner who lost their home to a foreclosure, couldn't afford it anymore. So Marin ended up buying that home at a very low cost. Since the house was bought at a lower cost, he devised a lottery to sell the house with profit and give some of the money to charity. A lottery house is selling a house by selling raffles to generate funding. The intent is to try to sell enough to cover the sale of the price of the house to make profit on it, and the house goes to one lucky winner. So say if like everyone can buy tickets for $100, you know, 100,000 people buy tickets, you're making a lot of money. And this avoids using a realtor, paying fees, and all the hassles that come with selling the house. But selling the house in this way is very, very risky, and what if you only get like $10,000? Also, I forgot to mention to you guys, it's highly illegal in the States. The lottery draw was supposed to happen on July the 4th. Why would they choose that day, 2009? But authorities found out about it, shut it down, so that's when Marin burned the house down, probably so we can claim the insurance money on it. Well, he was given up to 21 years in prison. What Maine does next, you guys won't believe.
After he appears to swallow something after the verdict is read, notice as he reaches down and appears to get something from his bag. He then wipes his face, swallows something, and appears to swallow again. But 8 minutes later, Marin starts convulsing and collapses.
Right after the sentencing, Marin freaks out and took a pill that killed himself. This was a Yale Law School graduate and a very successful man who just made, a mistake.
Even though it's not been officially determined what killed Michael Marin, it's believed Marin swallowed some type of poison. Marin's attorney says the convicted arsonist showed no signs of preparing to commit suicide.
It was a gigantic shock. I think it's fair to say that we certainly had no inkling that this was going to happen. I'm not aware that anybody did.
Really sad situation, but there you guys have it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you guys all in the next most amazing top 10 video.